Imagine with me for a second that you let's imagine that you have a nose ring and you're trying to make friends with somebody and somebody judged you solely on the fact that you have a nose ring. They know nothing else about you. How ridiculous is that, right? I mean, it says nothing about who you are as a person or what you actually believe. They have just one small visual cue that they're basing everything else off of. So similarly, when brands are being built and they only are worried about making sure that their logo looks good or their colors look good, you're building a shallow relationship, same as that nose ring story. So we want to make sure that we're building our brand on really deep foundational messages and ideas and decisions so that we're attracting people on a really deep emotional level. And the core way to do this is to determine what our worldview is. So this is the unique perspective, the unique way that you, as the Maverick, views the world. And then we're also going to talk about the way that the world views you. So the first thing to decide is what your top brand values are. So here is a starting place. I did the hard work of giving you values that are on archetype for you. But you have my free permission. Obviously, you would have done it anyway, even without my permission. But head over to like thesaurus.com and expand this list out so that you can find something that's very clear and meaningful for you, because this is your tool to drive all of your future brand decisions. So some of the top brand values I see in Maverick archetype brands are things like a sense of outrageousness, freedom from establishment, fighting the man, whatever the man is for your industry and your product, self-reliance, change, audacity, and boldness. So as you come up with a full brainstorm list of your top brand values, I have an exercise at the end that'll teach you how to whittle them down. So I'll explain that in a moment, but I do want to plant a seed here before we move on. So if you decide that your top brand value is audacity, a sense of audacity, that's not going to do a whole lot of good for your business to just decide on that one word. What's important is that you start to translate that core value of your brand into actual decisions and ways that you're going to communicate that. So for example, if your core value, you should have 1, 2, or 3 top values. So let's say your top one is audacity. So you might be willing to show up at a business conference wearing a shark suit, or you might be willing to challenge your clients, if you work with clients one-on-one, on some of their limiting beliefs or some of their excuses. If you are trying to be have a sense of audacity, you might look completely different from everybody else in your industry, whatever that means for you. Or you might completely shift the typical process that somebody goes through to complete your product or service. You might flip it completely on its head, and that might be a very audacious move for you. So start to think about, if this is the anchor, if audacity is the anchor, what comes out of that? How do you actually live that out loud in your brand? Now, we're going to give a lot more examples of that in the last video, but I wanted to make sure that I'm planting the seed now so that you can start to think through all of these like core decisions this way, because you may have done this brand values exercise before and it didn't have much of an impact on your business because you weren't ever told to take it further than that. So hold that in your mind as we continue on this journey. And one of the ways that you can actually expand your values is into these brand belief statements. So you can actually write a statement about what you believe based on those values. So common ones I see are like, I'm free to be me, rules are made to be broken. I love this quote, well-behaved women seldom make history. Whenever you find the whole world is against you, turn around and lead the world. Not sure what the attribution is on that one, but it was too good not to include. So these types of beliefs can become like rallying cries for your ideal clients, because we identify with people who have a similar or complementary worldview as us. So by sharing these types of deep-seated emotional beliefs that you have as a person or as your brand, people are going to be attracted to that, and they're going to self-select based on what you believe. So you're going to get clients that love you for having something in common with them or something that they admire about you, and that are a joy to work with because they value who you are as a person or as a character, as a role in their life. What's fun is you can also put some of your values into Pinterest to search to see what comes up. And you can start to see some of these quotes that become this, again, like a rallying cry, like a manifesto statement for your brand that you can actually share directly with your clients to show them what you believe in. And the top left one is just hilarious. Cute, but psycho, but cute. Start a revolution, rebel against perfection. Ask yourself, like, what are you rebelling against? Be the exception. And I always loved the idea of not being what people expect me to be. That was Dita Von Teese. Hopefully I didn't butcher the pronunciation of her name. Okay, next, and you may want to pause this if you want to read through all of the words that I have on the screen here, because I'm not going to speak to all of them. But next we want to decide how we want the world to see us. So this is like your brand personality. I have a ton of like inspiration words here and attributes. Things like, I'm going to just delete 2 of them here because they don't really make sense. They think of you as a catalyst. They think of you as fearless, being gutsy, audacious, a person who makes unpopular decisions, a person with strong convictions, who doesn't settle. You're bold, saucy, a renegade, unapologetic, provocative. And the goal here, once we have a bunch of words that we think work really well for our brand, is that we're going to pit them up against each other. So if you think that your brand should be forward thinking and also revolutionary, pit those 2 up against each other and see which one feels best in your gut. And continue to do this process. It's the Hot or Not page in your guidebook until you get down to the top 1, 2, or 3 brand attributes that describe your brand. This is going to help you make decisions about your design, about your copywriting, about the stories that you tell, because you now have this tool that you can check everything against. So if you're writing a social media post and one of your top brand attributes is dauntless, ask yourself, like, am I being dauntless? Are people going to feel like that's the perception of me that they get when they read these words? Or am I hiding from who I am at my strongest, which is the maverick? Whether that's the primary or secondary archetype of your brand, it's still a very strong element of your brand. So have fun with this. Go through the exercise, whittle down, and also, spend time on thesaurus, finding some more synonyms if none of these words are exactly perfect for you. And I'm excited to see what you come up with, because like I said, it'll influence the rest of this development process.